Now guys, if you bought a brand new Mercedes, the chances are it has a new multimedia system called MBUX. Now MBUX is actually available in two kind of versions. One is called NTG6 and one is called NTG7. Now I have already done a walkthrough guide on NTG6. However, this one is a walkthrough guide on NTG7. So we'll be covering loads of topics today, from the first steps on what to do in your new Mercedes, the home screen and its layout, the navigation menu, the phone menu, radio, media, info, Mercedes Me and apps, comfort, and finally the settings menu where you can customize your car to your liking. And just like the previous video that I did on this, I'll cover the basics off first and then go into some more advanced things on each chapter. Which reminds me, make sure you check out the chapters down below to skip to your preferred section. So let's check out the first steps on the new system. So guys, first steps when it comes to the new multimedia system. So NTG7 typically has a portrait style screen just like this here. Now the one rule that breaks that is the new A-Class and a couple of the compact cars, which I believe are coming out this year. They're still going to have the widescreen kind of display going across the dashboard, but they are going to have NTG7. That said, when it comes to first steps, there's a very, very important thing with NTG7, is that it heavily relies on a thing called Mercedes Me. And basically you log into your account pretty much on the system. So if you haven't got your car linked to Mercedes Me, make sure you get in touch with local Mercedes to get it linked to your account. Now, if you have bought from a local Mercedes, chances are when you jump in the car for the first time, they will have linked it for you and your name will appear on the screen just like this. And there I am on the right hand side. So if you haven't bought from a local Mercedes, don't worry, just get in touch with them, they can help you get it linked. Now if it's not linked to anyone at the moment, you can actually go straight to adding a user and scan the QR code on the screen, so pretty easy. But for this video I'm going to presume you have already got it linked. So as it is linked, if I tap on my name, we should see, there we go, there's the Mercedes Me pin. So this should have been emailed to you, but don't worry if it hasn't been, just tap on forgotten pin or go onto the app and you can reset it. And basically you just want to log into your profile, as when you're logged in, it does kind of enhance your experience just a little bit more. Now if it's the first time that you're logging into your car, you will see a setup assistant. So this is almost like Mercedes-Benz just literally guiding you through what to do next. So we'll do this for this video here just to show you how it works. So let's tap on start. Now this is very, very important when it comes to access protection. This is entirely your choice, but I will just point out that I actually prefer this feature to be off. So access protection first and foremost is basically either a PIN or biometrics. So NTG7 cars typically do have a fingerprint reader somewhere in the car. Now of course it will vary from model to model, so obviously double check with the local Mercedes if you're not sure. You can see here there's a fingerprint reader just down here. Now the reason why this is here, say for example you kind of had your own car and then loads of other people used it as well, you can log in with your own settings and save them the way they are on your own profile. So this is particularly useful if you just want to keep your settings as they are. Now most people that I've certainly seen, certainly in the comment section, that sort of thing, they are the only user of the car, so no one else is using it. Now if you did have this on, every time you start the car you'll have to type in a PIN. So I feel that can get in the way, so I personally will be turning it off for this video. But if you did want it on, just bear in mind you will have to type in your PIN or use a fingerprint reader to kind of log in each time. And to add to that, I have seen on an S-Class there's even facial recognition on here, so that's another biometric, but only found on the S-Class as far as I've seen. So yeah, I'm going to turn this off for this particular video and just tap OK on that one. So in this next bit, of course, if it is linked to your Mercedes Me account, it will pull your name through. Of course, if that isn't right, then you can change it on the screen right here. The next step I actually recommend to be on, again, unless lots of other people are using the car, this will intelligently recommend and personalise your experience in the car based on how you use it. So if it's your own car, you definitely want that on. Now this next one is called initial seat position. So the chances are when you've jumped in the car, you've probably actually already done your seat anyway. So I can't imagine many people are going to use this particular feature, but if you're not sure where your seat should be, then by all means select your height on here, just like this, and then tap start positioning and it will move your seat into the kind of preferred position for that. But of course we're all slightly different, so make sure of course you use your seat and get that all set up first. Now this one is particularly good. Again, this will vary depending on specification, but if you're lucky enough to have memory seats, you can have your kind of seat configuration saved on your profile. So restore automatically is what that will do. It will save your seat, steering wheel and your mirrors and activate them kind of when you load up your profile. So yes, I'll have that on for this one, so it can save my current seat position as it is. And then finally on the next one is where you can set a home address. Now if you're sat on your driveway, on your garage right now, if you tap current position, it will save like a pinpoint of where you are right now, so nice and easy. However, if you're somewhere else, then you might want to type in an address. So if you literally just type in an address on here, and for this example I'll use the building where I am right now. So this is Mercedes-Benz of Poole, so I will just put in the postcode. There we go, and save. So that's then saved as a home in the favourite. The next step is then of course connecting your phone. Now I won't connect that right now, but quite simply just go to settings, connectivity or Bluetooth on your phone, then tap connect device. And NTG7 cars can actually do wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto depending on your model, but we'll touch on more on that in a minute. So yes, by all means connect your phone at this stage if you want to, but for now I'm just going to skip it just for this video. And then finally it gets onto that biometric kind of data. So this is if you're going to use the kind of security that we did on the first step. I won't for this particular video, but yes, you can go on here and set up a fingerprint, and it can even recognize your voice, so you can then say or command the voice assistant and then load it up with literally just by talking to it. So it's pretty cool, but there again, I said most of us are probably just going to buy the car and use it unless you're giving it to lots of people. I doubt you'll particularly use that one. So then, when we tap the finish button, we then get on to selecting your home screen. Now I will just touch on this in just a second, and I'll cover the differences, but there are two types you can choose. One is called zero layer and one is called classic. And I'll show you the examples. You can kind of see on the screen there the differences, but I'll show you the examples in kind of real terms in a second. And that is the initial setup menu all done. So let's go on Let's Go. And then this is the home screen. So this is what you'll see from kind of day to day when you jump in the car each day. Now it's important to note, NTG7 is very, very much focused to be a touchscreen, so you'll find that there aren't too many physical buttons in the car, it's mainly all touchscreen. But the home screen, just to start, literally, if you kind of go from this area at the top here, this bit is where all your content is. So this will be where your phone or your sat-nav and radio and media functions are. But the bottom bit just there where it says off, this is climate control. So very quickly just cover through that. Now when the climate control's on, it looks a little bit like this. So this is what it will look like kind of from day to day, and you adjust your temperature on the driver's side or the passenger side, kind of up and down just like this. So it's really, really easy to use. Now it's important to note this bottom section of the screen does not change. So as it is primarily all touchscreen, if you get some muscle memory going, those buttons don't change. And also the back home button and previous track and next track buttons also stay there on the screen. So no matter what you do or screen you go on, those buttons on the bottom will always stay the same. So quick recap on those. On the left hand side you've got the kind of passenger temperature and fan, driver's side temperature and fan, and then in the middle you've got recirculation for the middle there, max demisting for the front, rear demisting for the back, which also does the mirrors as well, which is quite good. And then the auto buttons are the auto fan speed. Now you can customize all of that by going into the climate menu, which will look a bit like this. And then again, depending on the specification, there'll be first row seats and second row seats if you've got controls for the rear as well. So if you have controls in the rear, you can go to second row seats and even control the back there. And this car has quad zone climate control. That's pretty cool. But for now, I'm just going to have that off, so if you just keep lowering the fan speed, it'll all switch off, and we'll leave it like that for now. So back up to the elements of the home screen just on the top here. So we will touch on sat-nav and phone and media and all the settings and things very shortly. I just wanted to cover the home screen first. So this home screen is currently using a thing called zero layer. Now zero layer, as you can see here, there's an introduction to it on the bottom right. It basically uses all these little mini tiles kind of on the top left here, and as you go down in this almost like L shape. And basically it kind of intelligently recommends stuff to you based on how you use the car. So this is why it's really important to have your profiles, because person 1 might use certain functions a different way each day, and then person 2 might use the functions a different way, load up a specific radio station. So it's quite clever how it kind of works. But yes, all the buttons to use zero layer are kind of in this little L shape here. It kind of just goes down this way, a bit like that. Now I did mention, you did see just a few kind of minutes ago about the zero layer and classic. If you ever want to swap between the two, if you hold the home button, this is how you can swap between either zero layer or classic. And basically classic is your typical car where you have your home screen like this and you go into SatNav to use it. When you're done, you come out of it and go into phone that way. But zero layer basically kind of integrates it all into one, so you don't have to go into too many menus to find things. So for this particular video, I'm going to use zero layer, but if you wanted to use classic, by all means, just hold the home button and swap it over just like that. But yeah, I'll use zero layer for this one. So this next section is on the navigation, i.e. the sat-nav of the car. Now if you're using zero layer, this is really easy. Quite simply, see where it says where to on top. This is how you start the sat-nav and basically search for places to go. Now remember, I've already programmed the home in on the kind of setup menu, but you can program that in here in a minute just in case you skipped past that part. Now where to on the top there is actually how you start the sat-nav, and then when it's actually running you'll find the stop, the kind of cancel button, and the mute button just kind of top left. So we'll show you that now. So if we're going to kind of basically program in something really easy, just like I don't know, the nearest town, Poole, just down the road. If we go where to, then you literally just type in where you want to go. Now here you can type in postcodes or points of interests and that sort of thing. For this example I'll just type in Poole, so Poole, and it'll basically search. And then it'll show you the kind of suggestions just on the top there. So if I tap on Poole, then it'll show you where it is on the map, and then you can literally just tap let's go.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
Now what it'll do first is basically show you the overview, and then it'll kind of zoom down just a little bit closer to show you exactly where to go. And it is just literally just down the road anyway. And then, as I mentioned, to cancel the kind of sat-nav, you've got the little finish with the little cross there just on the top, and there's also a mute button just underneath it. So quite literally, start, stop and mute are within centimetres of each other, so it's super easy to use. And that is as simple as a sat-nav gets, so I'm just going to cancel that for now, and then we'll go into some more advanced things. So notice now that since I've used the sat-nav once, the car has actually started to recommend things. So it'll say, you've navigated somewhere before, do you want to go to the previous destination you used before? So as we start to use it, it'll start to use these boxes down here and kind of intelligently recommend things, which is quite cool. But let's have a look at some more advanced things. So if we go to where to up here, of course you've got the suggestions and previous destinations and favourites and received. You can actually send addresses through from the app, which is quite cool. And then of course then you've got the POIs underneath. So that's all really good. There is the option of going down to this, so you can actually just type stuff in or actually draw stuff in kind of like this, and this is where it's going to be very tricky. That is, oh wow. It actually picked it up. Obviously I'm right-handed, so drawing with my left hand is probably not the best, but it did actually pick that up. God, it looks like a 5-year-old's writing it. Let's come off that. My handwriting's really bad on my left hand, but yeah, it can actually pick it up despite me using my left hand. So yeah, that's obviously one way you can do it. You can kind of draw on the screen if you want to, which is pretty good. Now for some settings on the sat-nav, that's all located on the car on the top left hand corner. So let's have a look in here and show you how all this works. So usually when you go in here, it'll say good morning, where do you want to go, and you can just type in stuff on here as well. But what I wanted to show you is the settings aspect of the sat-nav, because some of you sometimes might want to go in there and customize your experience. So we'll go through some more kind of advanced things here. So first and foremost, other routes in real time. So in here, this is basically your live traffic. Now hopefully you guys didn't skip a step. This is your live traffic, which runs through Mercedes Me. So if you've got your car linked to your account, basically you'll have your live traffic come through. Most of the time it's free for set time when the car's first registered. Double check with local Mercedes to check on how long it's free for. But yeah, that kind of runs through Mercedes Me, especially in the UK anyway. It might vary elsewhere. But other routes in real time, yep, is your live traffic. And moving very neatly onto dynamic route guidance, the whole point of using a sat-nav is primarily to get from A to B as quickly as possible. and that's where automatic comes in. This will automatically reroute you in case there's any delays. So say you start here in Poole, drive all the way to London. If a motorway closes or there's a quicker route or something like that, it will automatically change. Now, some of you may not want that. You might want the car to say, hey, there's a quicker route. Do you want to take this option? This is where you'll use after asking. So instead of just automatically doing it and then you're driving along following the road and wondering while you're kind of driving down some really narrow country road, you might want that on. But for me, if the sat-nav's kind of doing that, then I know why, so I kind of just leave it on automatic. But user preference, if you did want it off, then you can also just switch it off. Activate commuter route is the next one down. This is kind of useful if you do drive between home and work quite a lot, or work and home. As long as you've got it set up in there and you're signed in, it can automatically start the sat-nav silently, and that way you can always see the kind of arrival time, and it will kind of predict based on the route that you take. So each morning it will automatically start based on the journey that you're doing to work, and it will just show you the live traffic and the arrival time without talking to you, so that's pretty good. Avoid options just underneath it is basically avoiding certain specific areas, so things like low emission zones or motorways if you want to avoid those, vignette roads or toll roads. So maybe you want to avoid a toll road, for example like the M6 toll or something like that. You can go in here and just literally avoid all of them, or use cash or card or something like that. So that's pretty good, just in case you want to avoid that. This will also avoid the congestion zone in London. So if you are trying to navigate somewhere and you're not sure, do avoid all and it'll just avoid it entirely. Scrolling down the list here, you can do avoid areas. I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually use this particular feature, but if you just want to avoid like a patch on a map just completely, then you can go on here and just avoid a complete area. Maybe there's some major works happening on a road somewhere and you just want to avoid that area on a map. You can do that, and that's how you do it on the avoid areas. And of course then you've got the other ones like ferries and motor rails, which aren't really a thing in the UK as far as I'm aware, but and then there's tunnels on there, so there's a few extra things you can avoid. And then on to the next one, which is view. Now view is basically the view of the actual map. Now some of you might actually prefer to have a satellite view, so this is kind of quite cool. It looks a little bit like Google Earth, but you'll kind of see like the satellite view of the ground overlaid over the map instead of like the colourful map. So you might prefer that one. You can toggle that one on and off. Underneath this is the weather. So basically when you type in a sat-nav destination, it can show you the weather for that area. Yep, you can have that on and off. And then all the other stuff underneath is basically just some customizations for the kind of sat-navs. You've got traffic restriction zones or free-flowing traffic, traffic incidents. Auto zoom is quite good to have on, so it will automatically zoom in and out. And then you've got the overview of the route after start. You can have that off if you want. And then finally, if you're lucky enough to have this one, the augmented reality video, this is where it will make use of a specific camera up in that area up there, kind of showing you a view of the front of the road and then putting arrows over the top of that, just indicating where to go. It's quite cool, so it's good to have it on if you do have it. Of course in here you can have this on or off depending on your preference. And traffic light view, if you do have that, basically will allow you to have the camera view on the screen, and it will basically zoom in slightly to the traffic light, so you don't have to sit here kind of looking up and stretching. You can just see it on the screen. So some of the tech in Mercedes is pretty cool. Next one after this is POI symbols on the map. So this one is quite simply just the points of interest you see. The default ones appear to be filling station, parking and rest areas. Next one down after that is the colour scheme. So this is kind of day or night colours. So if you have day colours, you'll find the map will look a little bit like this here, and then night colours will look a bit like this. Now for the remainder of the video I'll leave it on day colours, just because I'm sure it's going to change in a minute when the sun rises. Where are we? Let's find him. Map colours and day. I'll leave it on day for now. Show additional information is just the extra information you can have shown on the map. So you can have the current street you're on or the next junction. By default I think they're off just to keep the kind of display as clutter free as possible, but you can put some stuff on there if you want to, even like the scale and altitude as well. Map data version just literally shows you the kind of version of the map. This will vary depending on the model, so I have got a separate video on how to install the maps, but they will automatically update for your home region, which for the UK will be, I think it's UK and Ireland. But if you do travel abroad to other countries, then you might want to update those maps manually via a memory stick or something. So there's a link down below in case you guys want to check that one out. And then after this we have messages and tones. So in here you have basically a few options for the sat-nav voice. So you can have reduced messages, which is the default one, so it will just kind of tell you when to navigate left or navigate right. You can have detail messages, so it will start to read out road names as well, or just have it off entirely. But you can toggle the mute on and off on the previous screen when you're on the map anyway. I guess the final thing would be intermediate destinations if you wanted to go to multiple places, like via waypoints. So these are quite clever. Quite simply, all you do is put in your final destination first and then you add your waypoints. So say I was going to go to Bournemouth, next town across. I'm going to put in the final destination first. So you just type this in on the sat-nav.
Please proceed to the highlighted route.
And I'm just going to mute this for the second. And then add your waypoints. So say I'm going to go to Poole first, just down the road, type Poole in, go to Poole, and then here you've got the couple of extra options. You can add it or just go to Poole and just add it as a kind of replacement. But if I add it, then we'll go to Poole first and then Bournemouth. So you can see there you've got number 1 and then the finish over on the right. And then it is quite clever on the top left. It'll then show you the kind of finish point for point 1, and then it'll show you the finish point for the point 2 or point 3, or the finish from there. But yeah, I'll cancel that for now, and that concludes the sat-nav section. Now for the next section is phones. So this one's nice and easy at connecting your phone. You can literally just press the connect device button down there on the bottom right. Or if I press home, you can go to the phone section here and link your phone up. Now, as I mentioned before, just make sure you're on the settings menu and then Bluetooth if you have an iPhone, or if you have an Android, go to settings and connectivity and then Bluetooth. Make sure you leave it on that screen while you connect it up. Now I won't obviously do that at the moment just because my phone is recording this screen just to give you guys this view, so I can't easily connect it up. But what I could do is connect up my iPad here, which I have conveniently at the ready. So make sure it's on the Bluetooth screen just like this here, and then you go to connect device, and then basically it's going to search for your phone. So I'm just going to tap on that one, and then you'll have on the screen the little pop-up banner. Then you just tap pair, just like that, and it'll connect up. So really, really easy. Now when it is connected, you'll have your contacts and call list here like this. Now obviously I know this is an iPad, but if you have a phone, of course it will come up like that. Now you will also have an extra menu that will appear as well with NTG7, asking if you want to use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Now I do have separate videos on those, so I'll link those down below as well in the description. Completely separate kind of system to kind of get to grips with, so there's tutorial videos and tips and tricks on those down below, so be sure to check those out if you want to use that specific one. But this one I'm just going to focus on NTG7 kind of content. So quite simply, if someone calls you, all you need to do is just use the buttons on the steering wheel, or you can press on the actual screen. So you can answer and hang up on the steering wheel just here, and then, or I said use the screen. Now obviously going into contacts, this is where you'll see all of your contacts information on the screen. Now of course I have got this off at the moment just because I don't want my phone book being shown on the screen, but all the contacts will be there as long as you've allowed them on your phone. Then of course on the previous screen, as you saw, there's a call list, so you can go on here and actually view all of the people you've called recently, which is pretty good. Now NTG7 is quite clever, just like the previous system. You can have two phones at the same time, so you can have two phones connected, so maybe driver and passenger, and then someone else can actually be the DJ as well, which is quite cool, which I'll touch on the media tab in a minute. But yeah, you can have two phones connected at the same time, so if either phone rings, answer and hang up on the steering wheel, and then if you're going to ring out, you would choose phone 1 on the top there, or phone 2, depending on which phone you want to use to make that call. So that's pretty good. And if you ever want to change which phone is doing what, you know, primary phone or secondary phone, or which phone is using Apple CarPlay, just go onto the device manager in here, and this is where you can toggle things on and off depending on your preferences, and even delete devices as well, just in case you've upgraded your phone or something like that and want to delete the old one off. Now search on the bottom left is of course how you search through your phone. So yes, you could go onto contacts and do it that way, but search is another way of doing it. This one just allows you to dial a kind of number a bit like that. This one here is the device manager, and then the one next to that is actually for text messages. And then finally onto settings. So in the settings menu in here is where you can customize a few things. So you can toggle the message display on and off. You can delete the call list if you phone people and you don't want to see who you phoned recently. Device manager there on the top as well, just in case you want to do it that way. Contacts is particularly useful. This is where you can choose first name or surname first name, and that is as simple as it gets for the phone section. So on to the next one, which is radio. So yes, radio looks just like this. Now, the good thing with Mercedes-Benz cars is that they automatically tune the radio all the time. So you don't need to press a retune button or anything like that. If you don't see many stations, it could be because you're underground or something like that. As soon as you go out in the open, then it will automatically find more. And yeah, you just quite simply just swipe across like this and find your preferred one. So super easy to use. Now, if you want to add favourites, you'll notice there on the top left hand corner it says favourites. So if I go in here, this will be empty at the moment, but you can add the one that you were just listening to. But I find there's an easier way to do that. Say you wanted to listen to BBC Radio 2, for example, or Radio 1 or something. If you hold your finger on the screen, this is how you can save a favourite. And see, it's just gone literally into the favourites menu. So in here, this is where your presets will be. So say you listen to that one, and then I don't know, there was another one down here somewhere, say Capital or something. Hold that one, and then you've got a couple in favourites then, and just toggle between the two. So yeah, literally as you scroll across, all the radio stations that are available are there. I think there's about 50 or so in the UK. There is a search button down there on the bottom left if you want to search for radio stations and type in what you're looking for. This one basically just shows you a list in a different way, so you can view it this way if you want to, and then jump straight to a letter over on that side. The next one here is information, so if this is toggled on, then you'll get the information kind of shown from the radio station that's being broadcast at that moment in time. So I think that just shows you kind of the show or the session of what's happening on the radio station at that moment in time. Going on to menu, I did see this before, this said show song lyrics. I don't think that's available in the UK. I guess that kind of comes from specific radio stations, but I haven't seen that. Maybe there might be a software update in the future or something, but I did notice that it is greyed out at the moment. Onto settings, this is of course then a few settings on the actual radio. So you can toggle radio announcements on and off, so this is basically either traffic announcements or travel or warning or messages, weather, that sort of thing. So you can toggle those on and off depending on your preferences. Radio text information was just the bit that we just saw. Frequency fix is quite useful. I mean, because it is automatically changing the time, you can fix the frequency so it doesn't change depending on as you drive around the country. Most of the time, if you just keep it on auto, it'll automatically find the best frequency anyway. And then the slideshows just refer to the pictures on the screen. So again, you can toggle those on and off if you want to. Now the ones just above this, of course, are equalizer. Now equalizer, I strongly recommend that you do choose and change, because all of our ears are slightly different. We perceive audio all slightly differently. What I'd recommend is play your favourite song and adjust this to how you think it should sound. And certainly if you have Burmester, which is in this particular car, it does sound pretty good. But of course you can change the bass, the mid and the treble and get it exactly the way you want it. And the same goes for balance and fader as well. You can kind of tweak where the sound comes out. By default it's going to do the centre of the car, but if you want it to be more prominent for the driver, you can shift the sound. The speakers in the front will do more than in the back, for example. Sound focus is quite good, so certainly with Burmester you'll have this where you can optimise the sound to focus to the front or focus to the rear. It's similar to balance and fader, but this one is more optimised for all the frequencies, so most of the time people just keep it on all seats as far as I've seen, but you can tweak it if you want to. Again, play your favourite song because you will know how that sounds, and then you can tweak it how you think it should be in here. Loudness normalization is kind of a bit like dynamic range when it comes to audio. If you have it on medium or high, it's going to try and keep the loud sounds. So if someone spoke really loudly into like a radio or something, it should kind of keep it at roughly one level. But of course you can tweak that on and off. Again, similar to the equalizer, try it out and choose your preferred setting to see which one works for you. Apart from that, the only thing I haven't gone through is basically the top menu. So of course there was favourites, FM DAB radio, and then AM radio. So you can go on here and choose any AM frequencies if you wish. Just make sure that's turned down. You can just scroll across here. Of course, I am inside right now, and AM frequencies don't travel too far, but you can manually tune on the search there, just in case there's a specific frequency you're after. But FM DAB radio should have everything that you need on there anyway. A tuning radio is quite good. This is more internet-based radio. So this is where if you have a data plan with internet coming into the car, which I have a separate video on, so I'll link that down below as well. You can kind of do that. Now NTG7, you can actually do some different things where you can send internet from your phone to the car, so you could do it that way as well. But there again, if you're using that, you could use it through Apple CarPlay or Android Auto as well, because those have tuning radio apps too. So that concludes the radio section. Now on to the next one, which is media. Now media is if you're going to play any music off of a device. So this could be anything from Bluetooth. So for example, I've got my iPad connected at the moment, can play music from that over Bluetooth, or if one of the phones are connected. And don't forget, you can choose which device is playing music by going onto the device manager here, and then you can just literally choose which one you want to kind of play the content. So it could be music or podcasts or audiobooks and that sort of thing from different third-party apps. So anything from Apple Music to Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, the actual podcasts or audiobooks, or all sorts of things. So yes, anything you play in there will just come through the car just like that. Now online music is potentially going to be a really good thing in the future. So traditionally at the moment we use our phones and that sort of thing as like a gateway to Apple Music or Spotify and that sort of thing. And I believe Mercedes-Benz are working on this for the future, where you might be able to have native Apple Music streaming, or I don't know whether it'll be Spotify as well, but there'll be other things in the car. So basically, instead of having to use your phone, you could literally just use it on here. Now, Apple CarPlay does do that anyway, but it just gives people the option. So I'll probably cover this sort of content in the future because it is a work in progress I have seen, and I have seen Mercedes-Benz announcing a few things for this kind of particular feature with entertainment packages on Mercedes Me, so I'll probably make a separate video on this particular topic in the future. And then finally on USB, this is how you play music through the USB-C port. So yes, NTG7 cars have USB-C. If you want to plug your phone in and don't have one of the brand new phones that have USB-C cables or connectors and that sort of thing, make sure you get a dongle. They're only about like £5, £7, £8, maybe. Well, they're under £10 basically for like a dongle. The one I use, I'll link down below if you want to use that particular one, which I think I've got about 6 of, because I have a MacBook Pro which I edit all my videos on, so those have USB-C ports, and I have a lot of USB-C things now. So, but yeah, you can get a dongle if you want to connect up your phone. USB-C ports are typically in this area in here, and then there's also a little storage area in there. That's usually where they are. But yeah, apart from that, the media tab is pretty simple really. In the settings area is how you can change the kind of equalizer settings and go through all that sort of thing. So very, very similar. The only extra thing you can do on here if you have specific equipment in the car, so if you have Burmester, is you can create a sound profile. I do recommend you do, again, all of our ears are slightly different. You can choose between pure or 3D sound, or just make your own sound profile. So let's move on to the next section. Now the next section is info. So basically info lets you see all the information in the car, from consumption, from 7.5 minutes, 30 minutes, 90 minutes, or even 3 hours. You can view some of that information on the instrument cluster as well, so you don't need to go to that specific one. But it's a big long graph that shows you what your miles per gallon's been like, or litres per kilometre over a set time. Vehicle is some kind of just interesting stats, so this will show you how much you press the accelerator pedal. So if I depress the accelerator pedal here, you'll see it will kind of go up, and then the same for the brake pedal as well. But then there's some stats underneath as well, showing you the pitch and the angle and the steering wheel as well, so you can do that left and right. You can see the degree of the steering turns, so it's just kind of statistical information really. And speaking of statistical information, if you go to engine, this shows you all the engine power. So you've got the kPa boost pressure of the turbo, you've got engine oil temperature, gearbox oil temperature, the torque and the power, just in case you want to look at all those stats. The next one is apps. So in here, this is kind of just a few things that Mercedes-Benz have started to add to cars. So number one, there's Mercedes Me. You can view some information on Mercedes Me on there, but I do have a separate video on the topic of Mercedes Me, which again, I'll link down below if you want to see more information on that one. Weather. Well, it kind of speaks for itself. You can see all the weather nearby and type in locations and see what you want to do. And as you can see, it is currently raining here right now, so you've got 48-hour forecast there as well, so that's pretty good. Slight improvement over the previous one. Now, dash cam. Now, I know a few of you will definitely want to look at this bit. Now, dash cams they've been heavily regulated for a long time. To clarify, this is for on-board recording equipment. Of course, you can buy a third-party dash cam and put that in, no problem. But on-board recording equipment from car manufacturers is heavily regulated for some reason. Now, typically with dash cams, you will need a camera up here, so you will need augmented reality to use a dash cam feature in a car, and you will need to then plug in your own kind of USB memory stick in the or USB-C memory stick in the car. Then you can do loop recording or individual recording. Loop will just continue recording all the time, and when it's got to the end or the max storage, it'll go back up to the top and then just continue recording over the top of it. Individual recording is just one set recording if you just wanted to capture a really cool part of a road or something like that, I don't know. But yes, once a USB stick is in, then you can go in here. I do have a separate video on the dash cam, so again, I'll link that down below if you wanted to see some more information on that. That was on the previous version though. I think there are some new features on NTG7, so guys, let me know if you want me to cover the potentially updated dash cam functions in NTG7. Again, after this we have a browser, so if you have a data plan you can browse the internet in the car, and yes, you can watch YouTube videos on the car, I've noticed. Yes, you can obviously browse on there. Obviously you need data coming into the car either through the Vodafone internet package, or on NTG7 you can hotspot off your phone as well, I've noticed. Gallery in here basically shows you all of the content that you might have captured either through dashcam. Collision photos I have seen, although I haven't actually seen it in action yet. I believe if there's a collision through Mercedes Me, again on certain specifications, it can snap a photo of said event and potentially capture the number plate of the person who just bumped into you when you weren't there. So again, guys, let me know if you want me to kind of cover that in the future. I don't exactly know which model it's on fully, but yeah, let me know if you want to see it and I'll find out for you all. And then after this, we have a thing called Shuffle Puck. Now, Shuffle Puck is a game, and yeah, Mercedes-Benz has started to put some games in on some models, and Shuffle Puck is that one where I think you move it around and fire the shuffle puck over to the side. So, well, I'm not going to sit here playing a complete game while you guys are watching me do this, but oh, I guess this is like passenger versus driver. Ah, there you go, that's clever. Well, I can just play with myself for a minute. There we go, that's how you play that one. Right, let's cancel that one then. Then there's Sudoku. I'm not even going to try that because, well, I'm not going to embarrass myself on on camera, so I haven't got a clue how to play that. But for those of you that do, you can go on there. On the next page, again, there's a few more on there. So I haven't looked at all these different apps and games, but I think they're unique to certain specifications. But there is a quiz on here I haven't seen before, actually. What's in here? Okay, this is like kind of trivia stuff. Well, that's an easy one. I can say, well, if I got that wrong, that would have been really embarrassing. Anyway, so yeah, there's different games on here you can play. So, and that one is a bit of trivia, just in case you're sat waiting. I guess it could be quite useful as well, you know, if you have an EV. A lot of Mercedes-Benz now have this new multimedia system. Got a few kind of entertainment things there to keep you entertained while your car's charging, just for half an hour or so. And then lastly over there, there's In-Car Office. I do have a dedicated video on that one, so again, have a look in the description down below, guys, if you wanted to see that particular one. It's a video in itself. Basically, in a nutshell, it'll sync your Outlook or Google Calendar to the car. So if you have lots of appointments, you can literally tap on there and jump straight to your next appointment. So that's phone, radio, media, info and apps. And then Mercedes Me Store basically lets you go in here and purchase several things through the Mercedes Me Store. Now you can do this on your phone and on the website anyway, but there's a few new features in the car where you can do this in here now. But of course this one is brand new, so won't need to buy anything in here just yet. So let's press the back button out of that one and then move on to the next one, which is comfort. Now comfort is spec dependent, so depending on the specification in your car you'll see different things. Now I know on some cars, a bit like I think there was an SL over here, depending on specification you might get massage seats, which is pretty cool. In this particular car it's not here, but you'll have potentially like lumbar adjustment on there or massage seats. In this one there's seat kinetics, so this is quite good. Say you're on a long drive, like, you know, for many hours, your body might start to ache after a while. So what you can do is have this on, and it will basically move your seat in certain ways without moving you too far away from the pedals, but it will move your seat and keep your muscles as mobile as they can be while you're on such a long journey. Now some people might call it a bit gimmicky, but there again it is quite useful. You can see it's just starting to move here, just to try and keep you as mobile as possible without staying in one position for too long. I'll turn that back off, that should put me back. Yeah, there we go. Position seat automatically is what we probably saw in the kind of setup assistant at the start, so you can set your height and it will get it to your preferred position. But there again, we're all different shapes and sizes anyway, so you can of course just adjust your seat on here anyway. And then I know a lot of you love this one, which is the ambient light. So yes, you can choose all the different colours in the vents and in the floor. Again, depends on the model, but yeah, loads of different colours you can choose in here. It'll change to your preferred one. And on some cars there's even things like multicolour, so you can choose these kind of preset kind of customization options here. Racing orange and ultramarine and all sorts, but I'll leave it on the blue for now. I think everyone always leaves it on the blue, but it is the one of the coolest ones, I think. Now you can go on to brightness as well, and if you find it just too much, you can take the edge off, because it does stay on all the time. Or you can just turn the whole thing off, just in case you wanted to focus on driving. But I'll pop that back up to where that was. On effects, this is where you can have the ambient light do a few things to help. So warning when exiting, if you have that particular option, I think that works in conjunction with blind spot assist. If you go to open the door and there's a bike coming or someone walking, you know, past here, as well as the blind spot assist bleeping at you, you can also have the light flash red as well. All these little gadgetry things just to help. Climate, this one will adjust the ambient lighting, so when you make it warmer they'll go red, and when you make it colder they'll go blue. And then multicolour animation is where it will kind of cycle between the different colours. If you're on multicolour, it's around about every 30 seconds or so, it will just cycle between the kind of different themes that they have on there. So that is comfort. Now this next section, guys, is the touch bar, just before we move on to the next one. So basically we'll cover this bar just along here. Now dynamic on the far left hand side is how you can change dynamic select, and there's left arrows and right arrows. You basically just press these to cycle through your preferred mode. Now there's various different things on here. You can have off-road if you're going to do any off-roading. There's eco, comfort mode, sport mode. Now when it comes to dynamic select, I have done a couple of videos on these. It does depend on which car you have. So I've done dynamic select for petrol and diesel, plug-in hybrid, and then electric cars as well, so be sure to check on the right one in the description down below. After this one there is the parking camera. Now depending on the level of equipment in the car, this will either show you the reversing camera, or if you have 360-degree camera, it will look a bit like this. Again, I've got a video on the 360-degree camera if you wanted to check that one out, so again, link in the description down below. This one will look a little bit odd just because I have a camera and a light here at the moment, just with the door open. But yes, you can move the camera around almost in 3D space, so you can literally see everything around the car. So yeah, it's pretty clever. You can even zoom in and out as well, so or even look at your wheels. So yeah, this car is dead on perfectly straight. Look at that. This menu is also where you can do park assist, so this is where the car can help park automatically. Again, I've got a video on that one, so I'll link that one in the description down below as well. The next one across on the picture of the car is the quick access menu. So this is how you can quickly turn the alarm off for any kids or pets. After that we have the hazard switch, so that's just your hazards flashing. The black one after this is a fingerprint reader, so this is to do with the profiles. If you have multiple users of the car, you can have your fingerprint saved in here, and that is the fingerprint sensor. So you literally just touch that and you can save your fingerprint in the car. After that there's an on and off button, so in here is how you can literally just turn the whole screen on and off if you just want to focus on just driving as it is, and you can turn the whole system off as well. But as always, as I mentioned at the start, the climate control is always there just so you can easily change it. And then finally you have volume and mute buttons. So in this car you can actually swipe left and right, and you can press it as a button as well, so they're buttons as well, but you can do all the same on the steering wheel. And then on to the next section, which is going to be quite advanced, which is the settings. So on the quick access menu, basically there's a few settings in here that you might want to change like really quickly. So for example, depending on specification, there's head-up display, so you can turn this on and off. I can see it just literally disappear and see it literally come back up again. Again, got a separate video on that one, guys, so check in the description down below. I'll link that one just in case you want to see that one. DSR, downhill speed regulation, or downhill speed regulator. Basically it's like a cruise control but for walking speed for going off-road. So it will regulate your speed really slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4 miles an hour, basically going downhill. So that's what DSR is. Parktronic is if you want to turn the parking sensors on and off. So if you go through like a car wash or something, you can just turn them all off. Otherwise they'll all be on, so obviously make sure that one's on for your parking sensors. They'll come on when you get near objects. There are a few more settings for that, which we'll cover in a minute. Active lane keeping assist, again got a separate video on that one, so I'll link that one down below. Active lane keeping assist is quite simply keeping you in lane, so you can toggle that on and off depending on your preference. And then interior protection is the interior alarm, so you want to turn this off per session if you are going to leave any kids or pets in the car. And then ESP is electronic stability program, so that's a safety system, so that stops your wheels from spinning if you drive too quickly, or in a spirited way should I say. Car wash mode is particularly useful if you are going to put the car in a car wash. It will do loads of things like recirculation for the vents, shut all the windows, shut the sunroof, fold your mirrors in. I think it does the sensors off as well, so it just preps the car ready for a car wash. And M for manual shifting is if you want to change gear using these paddles, which is quite good. And then the last couple of things on the quick access page, on the second page there, is towaway protection. That is if you want to turn off the alarm for like a ferry or something like that, because obviously if you've got the car locked and the boat's moving with the water, then you can turn that on and off on there. And then finally we get on to the all settings menu, which is the same as on the home screen, and then settings. So we'll go through these individual sections here, so starting out with assistance, then vehicle, lights, system, and then finally on info. So this one's in a bit of depth. This one's some more of the advanced things going through each individual setting. So I've already covered downhill speed regulation. That's the DSR that you saw in the quick access menu, so you can turn that on and off from there. So let's move on to collision avoidance. ESP I covered as well just on the previous one. Now active brake assist. This is the red warning triangle that you may see on the instrument cluster in front of you. Basically it monitors your distance to the car in front, and you can actually choose in these cars if you want it to warn early, medium or late. But obviously try it out on medium. If you find it getting in the way of the way you're driving, then you can also tweak it depending on your preference. Active lane keeping assist, again you can turn that on and off, and there are some extra settings in this particular system as you can again choose early, medium or late. And there's even a section down here as well for advanced supports, just in case you want the extra kind of systems it can offer. Typically though it's just for solid lines, but you can toggle it so it will do dash lines as well. Blind spot assist I very briefly mentioned. That's red warning triangles in your mirrors in case someone's in your blind spot. When you go to indicate, it can actually beep at you and let you know that someone's there, so that's pretty good. On the assistance menu, this is to do with traffic sign assist. Now this will be off at the moment because this car is inside, but some cars, they can scan the traffic sign, you know, the speed sign, and show that to you on your instrument cluster, and even put some of that information onto the driving assistance tech found in some cars as well. So when this car's out on the road, you can actually choose the threshold when it will flash at you and for when it will beep at you as well if you go over a certain speed as well. It's like a threshold of 0 to 5 miles an hour. Traffic light view I mentioned earlier, that was in the sat nav section. That's for the augmented reality. You can toggle that on and off depending again on your preference. Attention assist, this is standard on all Mercedes-Benz. It's been standard on Mercedes for a very, very long time. It basically monitors how you drive for the first 2 minutes of the journey, and if you start to get tired, it can suggest that you need to pull over and take a break. So pretty good. Again, in here there's probably a few settings you can choose. Yeah, so standard as normal, and you can have it a little bit more sensitive just in case. After this we have camera. So in camera, now again this is spec dependent, but you can actually have a 360-degree camera come on based on your GPS. So say for example you've got like a long driveway and it's a bit of a tight kind of turn to get into that driveway, you can have your camera come on automatically as soon as the car hits that area. So that's pretty good. And open camera cover there is if you want to open the reversing camera and just want to give it a little bit of a wipe on the back. Onto the parking menu. Parking space in camera image in R basically shows you almost like a floating blue P as you kind of reverse back, so you can kind of see where the parking spaces are. Again, user preference on that one. Underneath this is all to do with the parking sensor settings. So this is obviously quite good to go into and customize. You can set your warning tones in here, so you can set the volume. You can even do the tone and the pitch as well. You can play a little song there. But yeah, there's 1 to 5 adjustments. Audio fade out is pretty good. This will be on by default, but if you have your radio on or music playing off your phone, it will fade the audio down so you can hear the sensors. So again, if you don't want it to do that and you just want it to play over the top, you can turn that off. Time of warning on the Parktronic section is basically to do with when the sensors will beep at you. So side warning is particularly cover. You have obviously front sensors and rear sensors, but what it will do is basically as you drive past an object, it will memorize it and keep it in the car's memory based on your car's speed, and as you drive past it'll show it to you on the sides. So that's quite good to have on. And then you've got the front and rear early standard. In a nutshell with this one, early is what I'd actually recommend these be on, because it will beep faster and louder the closer you get to something, whereas standard will only beep last second, like literally, you know, about that far away. It's about this width of the steering wheel if you have it on standard, but if you have it on early, it will beep a few meters back, so definitely have it on that one. And then maneuvering assistance, these are basically some assistance systems for when you're maneuvering very, very slowly. So drive away assist, say for example there was a wall or a cone in front of me and I put it in drive by accident, the car can slam on the brakes just as you start to accelerate to basically stop you causing any major damage. It might still be some minor damage, but stop it like an airbag going off or something like that, or like a small collision. And warning for crossing traffic behind. If you're reversing out of a space and there's a car coming or something like that, the car detects, it can slam on the brakes again just to save something. You can toggle those on and off depending on your preference, but could even be for someone walking behind the car as well, so particularly useful to have on. Then on the next section, on the vehicle section, for the winter tyre limit, I don't think this is used particularly in the UK because the speed limit in the UK, the fastest we can go in the UK is 70 anyway, so I think this is more for on the German autobahns or something. If you have winter tyres, it's not advisable to go above a certain speed, so you can limit the car's speed on here. So I don't think it's really something that's used in the UK. Manual shifting, similar to the one that we saw on the quick access menu, you can change gear manually using these. Automatic filling station search is if the car gets to reserve fuel, you'll have a pop-up appear, would you like to search for kind of any filling stations nearby. Car wash mode, same as the quick access one I mentioned earlier. On the comfort menu, this is the easy entry and exit feature, so I know a few of you have asked before why sometimes it doesn't work for you, mainly because it is, I think it's mainly designed for shorter people, because it doesn't work too much for me, because I'm 6'2". The way it works is if you have it set to on with the seat position and steering wheel position, depending on the car, again, if it's like a 5-door or 2-door, 3-door, it can either move the seat forwards or backwards, or even the backrest, but it does depend. So if you're not sure, just double check with local Mercedes, but that's what that's for, is to basically help you get in and out. But it won't go back too far, because otherwise it'll get in the way of the person behind you. So there is a limit to how far it will go, which is why sometimes it might not work for everyone. Roller sunblind. This is if you want the blind to be open or closed, but you can of course do it up here on the switch. So another way of doing it on there. After this, we then have the open and close settings. These all relate to settings of what happens when you unlock and lock the car. So first up, you've got vehicle protection, which will be the interior motion sensor and tow-away protection. So these will be the alarms for the interior and exterior that I mentioned on the quick access menu. Then here is the collision notifications. So again, I haven't actually seen this in action yet, but apparently if someone bumps into the car, you can get a collision notification through to your phone, a bit like this here. And on some cars, it can even take the photo of them as well, so you can check their registration out and who they are, and obviously the time and date that it happened as well. So that's pretty good. After this, then there's automatic locking. So this is when the doors will automatically lock above 10 miles an hour. Acoustic lock is the little toot from the horn when you lock it. And then we've got automatic mirror fold in. This is when the mirrors fold in automatically when you lock it. So if you have that on, they will fold in. You can manually do it over here though if you want to, just like this. But there's an option on there to have it automatically do it when you lock anyway. And then on to dynamic select. These are a few settings for dynamic select, and I won't go through that in this video, so I do have separate videos on dynamic select. That again I'll put in the description down below. So guys, of course, for all the videos I reference here, have a look in the description down below, because there's plenty of other videos I've covered individually on all these other things. Next up is lights. So this will refer to all the light settings in the car. So dynamic low beam, you can see on the photo there, depending on the equipment, if you have digital light or intelligent light system or multi-beam LED. I think primarily it's digital light though in cars with NTG7. Basically, as you move the steering wheel at night time, it can move the lights, so you can almost see around corners, which will help. Projection when opening and closing. This is quite nice. At night time, when you turn it on and off, you'll get a little animation from the lights. So you can either have digital rain or star wave. I haven't seen star wave before actually, so I have to wait till it gets dark to see that one. But yeah, it does like a little cool pattern on the lights, so just to show off to everyone around you, especially with the stars. There must be loads of Mercedes stars on there. I'll leave it on the digital wave for now. Supporting projections relates all to digital light now. Again, I am hoping to cover digital light soon. I'm just waiting till a car's available for me to test. So I'll hopefully cover digital light in the future, but basically there'll be a few settings relating to that light system. And then there's low beam left side traffic or right side traffic. So just remember guys, this relates to the side of the road that you drive on. So in the UK it is left side traffic, but in here if you drive on the opposite side, you can choose that on there. You can even have it do automatically as well. And then finally, interior and exterior lighting. So this will just be the lights on the exterior when you come to unlock and lock it. Various settings in here to choose from, and how long they stay on for as well. And then finally on the ambient light, very similar to the comfort ambient light, it will just go straight to the same menu that I mentioned earlier. And then finally on system, so this relates to all the kind of settings on the screen in the middle in here, on the actual system itself. So the first one, Hey Mercedes, you can turn that on and off. So, Hey Mercedes.
Hello, I'm Mercedes, your voice assistant. Would you like to know more about what I can do for you?
No thanks.
Okay, if you need help, let me know and I will explain what you can do.
I think that's the first time she's been used in this car. I'll turn her off, there we go. So if you turn that off, when I say, hey Mercedes, nothing will come up. So Could be quite useful if you have kids in the car who have figured that out and are annoying you while driving. You can turn it on and off. It doesn't turn it off completely. You can still activate it using the steering wheel button. So it just turns off the "Hey Mercedes" activation phrase. Online recognition is recommended to be on because that will work in conjunction with Mercedes Me, but basically it will upload your voice so it can be recognised a little bit easier. So basically your commands will be recognised a little bit easier than just kind of offline. So it's good for that to be on, just to enhance that experience a little bit more. Pro activities is the next one. This one is basically a few things where the voice assistant can talk to you. So that one is obviously activating your profile, so it can obviously announce you with your name, which is quite good. And don't forget your phone. If you have wireless charging, the car can actually remind you, don't forget your phone. So again, you can turn that on and off as well. Again, suggestions on this one. This was in at the kind of setup assistant at the very start, so you can turn that on and off from there if you want to change that. Displays and display messages, so you can change the display brightness here. So this will be the driver's display in front of me here, so you can make that a little bit brighter, and then the central display as well, you can make that brighter or dim it down, again depending on preferences. Home screen, this one's where you can change the 0 layer and classic, but you can hold the home symbol to do that as well, so you can swap between those two modes. Graphic goodies. Graphic goodies, basically as far as I've seen from this, on certain special days the graphics of the MBUX will change a little bit. Let us surprise you. I believe it's more like a Christmas theme, Thanksgiving, autumn theme and Easter theme. They kind of just change the theme of it, so if you don't want to kind of have those different themes, you can just turn that off. So that's what I've kind of seen on the graphic goodies. Then if you drive on the opposite side of the road, potentially it could be in kilometers. So if you need to change the units, that's how you do that here. Tap that and then everything will go to kilometers. But I'll leave that on miles as we are in the UK. Language, of course you can change the language in here. NTG 7 has more languages than ever, so there are loads of languages in here to choose from, which will change the entire multimedia system. And I think it will even do the voice assistant as well with the Hey Mercedes. So if you wanted to change the language, that's how you do it. After this relates to the keyboard languages and handwriting recognition and the dictionaries. Of course the car will memorise kind of what you start to type in and can suggest things that you can reset certain elements on there. Control elements relates to the feedback. So acoustic feedback is the this sounds that you hear when I press things. You can have that loud, normal, or just completely off. And then touch control relates to how sensitive it is. So you can do slow, medium, or fast. And then on audio, this one relates to some of the settings. So greeting tone will be similar to the voice, where it can greet you with your name. Then you've got all the various Partronic phone, voice output, entertainment kind of levels you can choose on there. But it's quite clever with cars, because if you change the volume of the car using the steering wheel, or in this section here, this will change the volume of the thing that's making sound at that moment in time. So if you change it while on a phone call, it will change it only for the phone call. If you change it for the sat-nav, it will only do it for the sat-nav, and kind of so on and so forth. So internet and Bluetooth relates to either giving the car internet through hotspot, or you can subscribe to the Vodafone data plan. There is a separate video on that, so I'll link that down below as well if you want to do that one. And various things here where you can turn the Wi-Fi off and Bluetooth off if you just want it completely off. Data protection, so this is the transmit vehicle position. So this is the tracker function on the Mercedes Me app. This is how you turn the tracker function on and off. Just in case you wanted some privacy. You can lock the entire system with a pin, so a little option there to do that. Then of course after that you've got time and date settings, so you can change the summertime or the format, 24-hour clock, 12-hour clock, and the time zone. Although this one can do automatic time zones, so it will automatically set the right time. And you can even adjust the time by a few minutes as well, so say you sometimes set your watch or something like that to always be like a few minutes faster, just so you're prepared, or leave a bit earlier. You can do that on here as well. And then finally onto software updates. So if there's any software updates that come through, it will automatically start downloading, just like this here. You'll see it will automatically download updates and install them automatically in the background. So you'll usually just get like a pop-up banner appear on the top letting you know when it's done. And then finally, after all of that, there is a reset button. So if you went in here, you can reset the multimedia system all the way back to factory defaults. So this is particularly useful if you have just bought your car and the previous owner hasn't done this, or if you're selling the car. The reset button is really good because it will reset it all the way back to factory. Just bear in mind this does not kind of unlink your Mercedes Me account, so you have to do this on the app. Again, I'll link that down below in the description if you wanted to do that. And then finally on info, the final tab, this one is the digital owner's manual, so you can go in here and actually read all the manual information on here if you wish. But most cars do come with an actual book anyway, which is usually about 800 or 900 pages. But just bear in mind, as with all manuals, they will relate to things which might not be in the country the car sold in and can relate to specification which isn't on the exact car, so just bear that in mind. But yes guys, that is the main overview of NTG7. Now I've tried to cover as many things as possible. Of course I know this video has been extremely long, but I just wanted to go through each individual thing, showing you exactly what each thing does. That said, it's impossible to cover every aspect of the multimedia system, but if there isn't something I haven't covered, let me know in the comment section down below, and then I could make a separate video on that particular topic in the future. But all the links for everything I've mentioned in today's video will be in the description down below. So again, let me know if there's anything you'd like me to cover in the future. So yes guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, huge shout out to these guys, Sandown Mercedes, as they help provide access to all these awesome cars you see in the videos. Until next week, see you then.